Hey folks, welcome. As you can see today I'm jumping in with a seasonal video and a bit of a hashtag created by my lovely friend 𝗧𝗏𝗏. The reason for the hashtag is because, as far as I understood it anyway, people are doing these glorious seasonal deck videos anyway. Hashtags make them so much easier to find. And of course, there's probably been a plethora of these videos over the years. So that's why the hashtag was created. So even if you've done a fall or seasonal, autumnal, dark season, whatever you want to call it, video, you could always add the hashtag, I guess, as well. This is definitely one of my favourite seasons. October in particular, which is when I'm filming this, is one of my favourite months. And actually I'm feeling really down on things at the moment. I'm having a really hard time with health and pain. I've had to push back loads of my plans, even content plans. I can't actually see properly out of one of my eyes at the moment. So it's a whole thing. And instead of disappearing because I feel like I need to offer certain things, I decided to come on and do something fun that didn't require great vision or too much of my mental faculties. But I wanted to do it differently than I've done this in previous years, so I thought it would be a fun opportunity to really mix it up. So before we dive in, although I have my two most cliche decks in view, as you can see, I've decided to not include every single autumnal, Halloween, aesthetically dark, spirit, liminal, threshold deck, whatever you want to call them, because I've done collection videos before, I've done these videos before. It's very much a large part of my aesthetic. So instead of just showing everything, I decided instead to really try and focus myself on what decks do I feel like I'm going to be called to because of the season, because I am very kind of seasonally evoked anyway, especially in this season. What ones am I going to want to work with across the next 3 months? And I've tried to focus on pairings because I thought that might be a fun way to show it. So it's like my full decks, but make it different, because this is perhaps a quarter to a third of them. It's definitely not all. Also, if I haven't said already, because my brain's a bit mushy, I still think that 15 decks is very ambitious, even for the next 3 months, just knowing what I've got going on behind the scenes. So whether I work with all of these, I don't know. And if I'm drawn to anything else, or if I'm doing client readings and they want something else, that's sort of a different matter. But these will be my key ones. So we'll see. It will be interesting to kind of reflect back on, because, you know, it's not just a couple, it's 15. Hey! Apparently it's dinner time, so I will feed my little tiny beast and then we will get into it. Madame's hunger hath been quelled for the time being, so let's get into this. Well, I can't have Halloween without Halloween decks. They are, of course, the Halloween Tarot and the Halloween Oracle. And these two are glorious fun together. These are all decks that I will happily use on their own as well. And I won't necessarily just pull one tarot and one oracle. This will all completely vary. But I love these two together for just very obvious reasons. I actually read with both of these out of season entirely, because to me Halloween is life. It is all year. This is just the best time. But of course it just feels like a necessity at this stage. And whilst it's not as fun and light as, like, reading wise, as it may always first appear, there's something about the energy that I feel engaging with the artwork, especially in the Halloween Tarot, that gives me that giddy childhood Halloween nostalgia. For me, this is a themed deck that gets a massive yes. It's very 𝗬𝗿𝗁𝗀𝗃, but thankfully not to the point where every single depiction's just like a clone with the Halloween-y replacements. It's still got different stuff going on in it. And this Halloween Oracle, I do really love it. The thing is about it is that I think if there was something else out there now that I was really drawn to, it would perhaps take a back seat. I am pretty fussy and I would like more cards, and whilst I freaking love skulls, the repetition of the close-up of the skulls and just Skull of Light and Skull of Darkness or whatever it is, I feel like they kind of missed a trick with that. But otherwise it is a glorious deck, and yeah, I love them both. They're good fun. Next up, I have the Somnia Tarot, which is pretty new to me, and then a very beloved deck, the Memento Mori Oracle. I'm quite keen to use these two together at the recommendation of a friend, especially now I'm getting acquainted with the Somnia Tarot. So I feel like these two will be a really good pairing, especially because of where the Somnia Tarot takes me, and one of the reasons that I purchased it was very much instigated by the themes of sleep paralysis, and even like my experience with night terrors, other liminal experiences with sleep, just various peculiar occurrences, and my relationship with sleep overall, because it's quite a surreal deck. And then the Memento, whilst it is a great spirit working deck, it is a deck that I use for other things. As many people know, I use this deck just quite a lot overall. I find it a really good complementary tool for my craft, and it's just often in and around. It's one I've been using all year anyway, because of using it with my year ahead spread. So there's always one card out of my working deck at any one time, but that's okay. It's not a deck that I feel like I can't use just because there's a card out of it. Mainly I'm just really interested to see how it can support and enhance the Somnia Tarot, which I'm doing some, I don't want to say wildly personal stuff with, and of course reading for yourself is personal. That's the nature of the beast. But I am exploring some themes that I didn't think I would be. And I just feel like the Memento is going to enhance that greatly. I'm pretty keen about it. But I also have another deck that I'm going to be pairing with a Somnia. So let's change it out. And that is my other new-ish deck, the Mushroom Oracle, which I really need to get into working with. And of course the fey gloriousness that comes with this feels very seasonally like a vibe for me as well. Although I did a lot of fey working this summer. I think it fell in summer, or it was late spring. I honestly am losing time at this stage, but there's still that surreal otherworld vibe about the Mushroom Oracle. And one of the reasons that I asked for it for my birthday, if you didn't watch that video, is because I did kind of feel, although it's a different art style, that they would go well together in a kind of obscure, like playing off of each other. The Mushroom Oracle feels lighter in terms of its visuals sometimes, but thematically, like I said, the other world, mushrooms, the death, the decay, the descent of it all, and the nourishment that can be found, as well as the pains and all that's in between. It feels like it's covered really well in the Mushroom Oracle. So I am getting a good feeling about these two as a pair. I just feel like it's going to bring something really interesting to the table, and that I'm actually going to really enjoy how the voices sync up, even though there's a bit of contrast in there too. These decks are the Raven's Prophecy Tarot and the Fairies Oracle. Now, I did forget one pairing, which is actually the Raven's Prophecy and the Halloween Oracle. This is actually a really common pairing for me that people will have seen over the years on my Instagram. I really love these two together, actually. I know that the Raven's Prophecy isn't inherently Halloweeny, but let's face it, it has Halloweeny colours and sometimes some, I don't want to say darker themes, but some interesting themes that are depicted in it. It is visually darker. There is a lot of fire, which I associate with this time of year and things getting colder, and the 5th of November in particular, stuff like that. So it is a very seasonally on form deck for me, and it's one that I've commonly used this time of year. So with the Halloween Oracle, it always felt like a great pairing. That said, I am kind of getting a vibe that these two would pair wonderfully together. And the Fairies Oracle is always a more challenging one to pair for me, because it has such strong energy that it's not that I don't want a tarot deck that doesn't have strong energy, because I need one that can keep up with it, but I also don't want to use it with things that distract from it. It's really hard to explain, and there's a certain level of depth meets spaciousness in the Raven's Prophecy Tarot that feels like it would actually be a really good fit. So I haven't used these two together yet, but I feel like, yeah, I'm getting the vibes from them. And usually I would pair this with Tarot of the Hidden Realm, but like I said, I've tried to pare this down in terms of being realistic, and I really want to try these two together. Fairies of the Future with Strength. They actually have a lot of complementary colours through them as well, because when you spend some time with Raven's Prophecy, you see like the blues and the greens that she's used as well in her artwork. And so it doesn't really matter what comes up, although these two look amazing together. So this is the Empress, which you can see this like really deep red through the woods, you know, it's like peering through the thicket. And then here we've got the Singer of Transfiguration, which just feels like a threshold into a new level of embodiment to me. Like that's what I get initially from that, which embodiment and the Empress is a big theme for me. So I like those two together. And look, the Two of Cups, and then in the Journeyman, you actually have the two of them. They are journeying together. So I'm definitely getting a vibe from these two already. Like I said, they're both very seasonal decks for me, although I use them all year through, which I don't really want to repeat. There's no decks here that I won't use the rest of the year, so I'll just put that out there now. But yeah, I haven't used these two together, and I think it needs to happen. So that's the plan. I also wanted to allocate myself a softy deck that I might use with some of them if I was feeling the urge, which is the Oak, Ash and Thorn. There are others that would have fit the bill, but like I said, I'm wanting to bring this one back into practice a little more. This is the Thistle Down Oracle, so it is actually like its sister deck. I didn't think I would use these two together, but because one has a border and one doesn't, I eat my words and say that I'm really enjoying them together because of that. I feel like it breaks them up enough to be used together without it all feeling like it's just one deck blending in. And I wanted the Thistle Down out anyway because I want to spend more time with it, because this was also, it was technically a birthday present, but it came later than the other two decks I'd mentioned. And I felt like it would be a really fun one to use with the Fairies Oracle, actually, because I don't mind using Tarot and Tarot, Oracle and Oracle. Especially with Oracles, I'll use many of them together. And this one certainly would just add gentle elements to the Fairies Oracle. It wouldn't be overpowering in any way. I really love the artwork for these, and yeah, I'm just excited about using my newer decks. Oh my god, they're slipping everywhere. So, you know, they clearly were made with the creator's intention, at least, to enjoy them together. Oh, look at these two together. It's completely thrown me now. Well, how beautiful. You've got to the world and it's time to retreat, because, you know, we don't always have to jump from like one to the next, to the next, to the next, because we're missing the point and we're missing life and presence and all that other stuff. And what even is time anyway, you know? It kind of works for us and it doesn't in different ways. So I really love these two together. I am looking forward to using these two together. I have used them together already, and they feel particularly just autumnal to me. Like, that's a reflection of what I'm starting to see, albeit very slowly, in, you know, the season and my environment around me. Next up, I have the Vampire Tarot by Ian Daniels, not to be confused with the Robert M. Place one, which I do tend to use this time of year. But as I want to study this deck, and I had been planning to study it across these coming months, or even into the winter, I'm going to try not to get too sort of swayed by my other Vampire Tarot. Not that it will be a problem, but it's just not in these. Because I say study, I want to read all of the book and contemplate perhaps some of the layers that I don't generally think about with many of my other tarot. This is the Le Vampire Oracle, and is one of my favourites for this time of year. It usually also comes out with my Oracle of the Shapeshifters. Both of those are big-eyed girls from Lucy Cavendish as the author and Jasmine Beckett Griffith as the artist. I really love their work, especially when they work in collaboration with each other. It's just a vibe. And so I have not pulled out my Oracle of the Shapeshifters, although it may well happen. But of course, with a vampire deck, what do I want? I want another vampire deck, because 'tis the season. It's not just visually dark. The themes and the tone of even some of the language in the deck can be veering from occasionally cheesy, but in the best kind of way, to actually quite challenging. I like that about it. So I think that it's a good... These two look like each other, but just obviously in the different styles. I really like that. I feel like they will stand up as a good pairing. I've probably tried the pairing once or twice, but I have not been using this deck loads, although it was my intention at some point. And yeah, I feel like they will stand up well together, that this one can hold its own, because I don't really want to deter myself basically from the very heavy vampiric theme. I want to immerse myself in it. So I think these two will be awesome together. I'm loving them. I mean, I need vampires at this time of year. I just do. Another that's not allocated to just this season, because I freaking adore working with the fallen angels, but feels even more like it's in its element at this time of year, just visually, and is another one that I would like to use with the Vampire Tarot. Again, I actually find it to be a really strong energy. And sometimes, like I said with the Fairies Oracle, I need it to keep up, but I don't want it to feel like they're kind of battling each other's energy. I do think that could happen with these two, but I feel more into it. I feel like it's a challenge that I am okay to accept. I don't imagine I would pull more than a couple of tarot cards per one of my fallen angels. To me, this is kind of one of my unsung heroes though, and I know that for a lot of people it's not necessarily a popular deck. It's got repetitive keywords that are used on different ones. I mean, it's a very large oracle, and if you consider the demons, fallen angels, whatever you want to call them, and you know, the small bit of write-up information that exists on them, and even any expansions of those, it would make sense that you're going to see the repeat of words. So here we go, we've already had 2 upheavals, because it's part of their story, and therefore it doesn't bother me, because I'd rather that than a random keyword associated to them that just doesn't make sense to me. Sometimes the write-up, which is very brief in here, if I do bother with it, is a little bit obscure, but I still really enjoy them. They're interesting. And I have, what's it called? The Dictionary of Demons is my kind of go-to book for this stuff, which I used to have to look a lot of it up online, so it has made life easier. Danger is in here about 5 times, I think. And again, if you were to pull several of them and you got lots of those at once, providing that's not anxiety inducing for you, it's a very clear message. I feel like these are going to be really good together. I've seen other people use them together and been really drawn to it before, but it not been a time when I felt like having the decks out. So, three of knives and exhaustion, yes. This is very much the mood right now. And look at this kind of pinky purple shadow palette that we've got going on. I feel like they're going to be quite potent together. And this is another one of the reasons that I got some softer visual decks out. But I say visual, a lot of the time, if they're visually softer, then I read them in a softer way as well. That's just, you know, how I engage with the artwork. So I needed something to break up several of these very strong, very sometimes challenging invitations from other decks. We have 3 decks left. Starting off with these 2, I have the Dark Days Tarot, and I've forgotten the name. The Reclaim Oracle. My brain is tired today. The Dark Days Tarot was also in the video of decks that I wanted to work with more in 2023, which I have successfully already with the Reclaim Oracle, and man, are they a mood together. Always helpful if it's the right way up. These, in terms of fall aesthetically, Halloween aesthetically, neither of them give me that, not at all. They do give me visually dark, fantastical, dream state, otherworld kind of vibes in their visuals. And then in terms of content, working with an emotion in such a individually focused capacity and just kind of giving a name to an emotion like the Reclaim does can be a really, really powerful thing for me in terms of being able to associate myself with how I'm feeling, what I want to express, what I need to express in times when perhaps I find myself more discombobulated, more dissociative, which is something that I do experience, unfortunately. And the Dark Days Tarot has just been nothing but the perfect pairing for the Reclaim Oracle. They are quite the energy together. I've actually used them with the Iris Oracle as well, which is, add that to the mix and then things get really intense. For some of the experiences that I am having at the moment and just recognising what I need from my practice in the darker months when I do really love autumn, but I do struggle with the cold, find it being dark so regularly difficult. And so in some senses, this is a transitionary preparation for some of the things that come up and just some of the work that I need to do in my individual practice. And that's why I said I was doing this tag a little differently, because I mean, They do both have generally black backgrounds. But are they full decks? Perhaps not so much. They are decks that I'm going to use this autumn though, because it's a reflection of my autumn practice this year. And then I have one final deck, which I may or may not pair with this. So I will leave this out just in case. And that is, of course, my Dark Whimsy deck by our very own Larkin Legend. And no, this is not in here just because it's his tag. The Black Salt Tarot is one that I've been working with. If you've been on my Instagram, you'll know that. I don't know what's been going on the last few weeks, but it seems that I cannot record anymore. I can sit on my own for hours on end, uninterrupted, and then when I call, everything happens at once, and I'm too stressed to do anything but just edit it and hope that I haven't moved the camera angle too much. But as I was saying, I haven't used these two together, and I have been really enjoying the Black Salt just on its own. But if I was going to pair it with one of my selections, I do feel the Happy Squirrel and Freedom. Yes. Yeah, if I was going to use one, I think that it would be this. Because like I said, this is sort of this emotion focused, but in a very sort of singular fashion, is something that I'm feeling drawn to from time to time at the moment. That's definitely coming into the season for me. And the Black Salt is my Dark Whimsy deck. So, of course, it feels very, very seasonally appropriate. It's kind of magical, and also there's a lot of coming into pairing back that the Black Salt does so well, being a Pippish deck. It gives me the transitional vibe because the shiny, it's like there's all this rich colour to be found still, even as everything pairs back and gets darker and, you know, dies off, and all of the stuff that goes on in fall. It's kind of a fun little addition. But of course I'm excited to use this as well because it is another newer to me deck. So that's something you'll see in a reasonable amount of these. What is it, 4 decks that are newer to me that I all wanted to spend this time with, but they do feel reflective enough of the season one way or another. Also, it's looking, not from your angle unfortunately, but actually from where I'm sitting, I'm getting a lot of the pink from the hollow or whatever it's called. So they look like they match, which I'm enjoying. What do you reckon on these two together? I'm genuinely curious. I do feel like it will be another one that needs to happen. So it's been kind of a fun pairing consideration for me as well. And I do feel like it was, aside from it's still 15 decks in around 3 months, that's really not unheard of in my practice. But like I said, I am aware that I have a lot going on at the moment, and sometimes something isn't actually ambitious for my life, and then my body changes the rules, or life happens for any of us anyway, right? And then it becomes massively unrealistic, and we just have to flex and change our goals. So these are my 15 focus decks for this autumn. We'll see what gets used. Top of the pile is definitely the Somnia Tarot. I would like to use the Mushroom Oracle and the Black Salt with the Reclaim, even if I don't get the Dark Days in there, because I feel like these two are actually, I'm getting the vibe off of these two already just looking at them. But if you're not going to get involved in the tag, please comment below some of your faves, even if you're like me and you can't list them all because you have many more. Yeah, inquiring minds want to know. I hope this was enjoyable for you. Thank you for hanging out with me for whatever content I offer on here, because honestly, this is all I have capacity for today. So this is where I'm at, and I'm just honouring that. Thank you to Logan for creating a hashtag addition to this and inspiring me to do something a little different, because otherwise I wouldn't have shared anything this year, despite my excitement, because most of the decks that I equate to this season haven't changed from last year. So if you want an extra dose, then you can always go back and watch one of my other videos. I will link them in the description as well. Otherwise, I'll speak to you all soon, and have a lovely fall if it is your season. And if you enjoy Halloween, have an epic Halloween.